you're having an amazing day. If you would like, follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. Follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. Check out my website at legendary.vision. I have some poetry, music, and news analysis there, as well as some digital stuff. And of course, stay tuned on Facebook for some live streams, for some comprehensive breakdowns, trying to bring people together, trying to slice through the mainstream media narrative, because no matter what happens on which side of the political debate or race, religion, and gender, blah, 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 there's always what happens, and then there's what the media blasts to everybody. So that's what this channel is really about. I'm trying to be a good friend. I'm trying to uplift, inspire, and also slice through the mainstream media narrative, because they lie about almost everything. I've done a lot of research over the last year or two, and it made me realize, oh my goodness, they're lying about almost everything. They frame everything in a bad light. They pit people against each other. They do it for the ratings, money, the whole nine. So first off, I want to say to anybody that's still interested in what happened in Charlottesville, in the big scene, I did a video on that already, trying to calm people down. Check out that video below. And I do want to also say that just now I just saw on Twitter that there were 3 murders somewhere else. I think it was Illinois, at a racetrack, that a black male killed 3 other black males, and it's only got about 70 likes or shares or whatever. Nobody cares about it. Just to be 100% real with everybody, I did the research today. There's 5,000 to 10,000 gun deaths a year on the low. I'm not blaming guns. I'm just saying there's gun deaths every single hour. Of course, it's not going to be as good of a story as somebody defending a statue. And I do want to say that if you really think about it, about that statue, about those people, about the white nationalists, about Antifa and Black Lives Matter, no matter who the president was, that was going to happen. It's not President Trump's fault. It's not 60 million people's fault. It's not every white person's fault. It's not every conservative's fault. It's not every Republican's fault. It's just not. This was going to happen anyway. If they're trying to tear down a statue in that town, it doesn't matter if Hillary's president, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, that was bound to happen as far as some sort of outcry. People didn't need to die and whatnot. But that was going to happen anyway. Let's be realistic about it. We can't get emotional. Everybody does it. It's what we make of it. If we bring the love, if we bring the unity, if we let events like this pit us by race, religion, and gender and political party, we're going to destroy ourselves and rip each other down like crabs in a bucket. We have so much information. We have the flow of technology. If we use it to go to space and travel around and have a good time, you know, we could do that. Or we could use it to micromanage and analyze everybody and just rip everybody down and group people together that don't need to be grouped together. Even if I'm out with my friend, just to do an example, if I'm out with my friend and my friend does something crazy, yes, it reflects on me because I'm there, I'm friends with that person, but no, it's not my fault. I don't control people. People don't control people. There's ignorant people all over the place. There were 3 more deaths tonight. Nobody cares. That's the last I'm going to say on that. I think all sides, I think white nationalists need to chill. Racism needs to end completely. It's a problem. It needs to end. Antifa needs to chill. Black Lives Matter needs to chill. And we need to find some sort of movement that unites people together, and we can all fight for a common cause instead of using these little things to argue over a statue. Like, it sounds like a children's book. But anyway, we're giving also the media, just to wrap it up real quick, we're giving the media incentive. When that happens, now they're like, oh goody, we know exactly what to do, how to make ratings, how to make money, how to pit people against each other. Just be careful, because President Trump won because people did not want Hillary Clinton and her, you know, conglomerate. People didn't want George Bush and Barack Obama and all of those, that power group. That's why Donald Trump won. And I'm all for stopping racism. I'm all for stopping ignorance. But I'm not going to hand this country over to George Soros and a bunch of people who want to destroy America, because that's what the other side is. You think it's these great people who care about all races, religions, and genders, but it's really just George Soros, the intelligence communities, and Hillary Clinton on the other side, like, come to me here, come back from, you know, the 30 years of oppression that we just literally saved ourselves from. We're not going back to that. It's not because people are racist. Look up George Soros, look up Hillary Clinton, look up the Bushes, look up the intelligence communities, look what they've done over the past 30, 40 years, and then maybe you'll be awakened a little bit. So that's all I'm going to say on that issue. I've already done a whole video on it. I've condemned white supremacy and racism and ignorance and bigotry. I've condemned it all. Don't group people in. Don't group all white people in. Don't group all Spanish people. Don't call black people negative names like Uncle Tom and Coon. I've already seen it on Twitter. People calling each other names. It's getting ridiculous. Relax. Calm down. That's all I'm going to say about that. Have conversations. Don't let a little event that literally, thousands of gun deaths happen a year and nobody cares. And this one happens as a perfect divider. Don't let it divide you. Let it make us stronger. Let it make us smarter. Let it make us more open-minded. And let it be a wake-up call to everybody that we all need to be more tolerant. We all need to be a little bit nicer and a little bit kinder. And we all need to have these discussions to make sure that we're not being bigots, that we're not being oppressive to anybody else. So on to Syria. This is literally the number one reason why I made the video talking about why I support the president. It's the number one reason why I thought he was going to be a better president than Hillary Clinton. And it's the number one reason that no quote-unquote people left or anti-Trump people or liberals, they don't know about it. They don't care about it. It's so strange to me because if people care about the environment and people and lives and war, it's such a huge issue. But when I talk to people who hate Trump, it's like they don't care, they don't know about it, they don't want to know about it, they're closed off, and they, just millions of people can die in the Middle East as long as it's not here. To me, that's extremely ignorant, and I'm seeing it from the anti-Trump crowd. But today in Syria, 600,000 people went back to the city of Aleppo, and we've had a big discussion funded by George Soros and funded by Hillary Clinton, these same people I'm telling you about, not these all-beers of, oh, we love all races and religions and we're going to save everybody. That's what the modern-day activist thinks is waiting for you at the other side. No, it's literally George Soros with these fake activist group trying to divide you and destroy our country, literally. He's admitted he doesn't care about social rights. He doesn't care about anything. He just manipulates economies and makes a lot of money. So anyway, in Syria, 600,000 people are going back to their city because there was a big change from Donald Trump and what George Bush and Barack Obama were doing. I don't think it was George Bush and Barack Obama. I think they were little puppets on a string doing it for a higher power. But what they did was started massive regime change wars in the Middle East. With Iraq, you had Saddam Hussein, who was keeping things in line. They killed him. And then ISIS and Al-Qaeda, literal terror groups, took over Iraq. Whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, whether you like Donald Trump, whether you hate Donald Trump, doesn't matter at this point. This literally happened. Terror groups took over Iraq. Whether you hate or love Donald Trump, I don't care. The same thing happened in Libya. Gaddafi was killed and terrorism ran rampant. And the same thing was starting to happen in Syria. Whether you love Trump, whether you hate him, whether you're mad about today, whether you're happy about today, let's leave it aside. Regardless of how you feel about presidencies, regardless how liberal you are, regardless how not racist you think you are, or how much better you think you are than other people, and that you hold the moral high ground, let's just talk facts. The same thing was happening in Syria. They were trying to overthrow the president, Bashar al-Assad is his name, and they were trying to fund rebels, moderate rebels, anybody they can give money and weapons to overtake another president, the third president in the Middle East, and leave a complete power vacuum so innocent civilians and citizens literally get taken over by ISIS and Al-Qaeda who don't care about anybody. Syria was and is a secular place. They have love for all religions. There's Muslims, there's Christians, there's Jews, and everybody lives peacefully in Syria, regardless what you hear on the news, regardless what you hear there. That's what Syria is. People can dress how they want. They can live how they want. They have restaurants. They have beautiful women. They have pools. This is Syria. It's not a hellhole. It's a beautiful place until the war started. I'm not saying it's completely George Bush or Barack Obama or the United States' fault, but we intervened and it became a complete mess. So Donald Trump got into office. Follow me, regardless whether you love him or hate him. That's not the point. Emotions and personal opinions, we have those moments. We go back and forth. We say, well, he could do this with education and the environment. I listen to you, I take those concerns, and I let people know. I'll let him know, and I'll make videos. But anyway, go to now. Donald Trump stopped 3 weeks ago. He stopped funding moderate rebels. Obama did it. Hillary would have done it. They were funding people that Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, you could Google it, look it up, Tulsi Gabbard talking to Jake Tapper on CNN, she said that, hey, you know what, there's no such thing as moderate rebels. These people that Obama says he's funding and Hillary wants to fund, they're actually literally terrorists. So you think Donald Trump is bad, you tell me all these things about Donald Trump, I see them about him. I know he's not perfect. I know he can be a womanizer. I know he likes buildings and women. I know that. He's not my ideal candidate. I didn't vote for him. I didn't choose him to be there. But what you don't understand, what the opposition of Donald Trump doesn't understand, is we had presidents in George Bush and Barack Obama who smiled. They said everything perfect. They made people laugh. They made you feel comfortable. They made you feel really good inside. They made you feel smart. He's from Harvard. You know, if you're smart, now you feel like you have the moral high ground. Life is good. America's good. But what you don't realize is they were literally funding terrorists, giving money and weapons to terrorists. And what kind of liberal, left, humanitarian, social justice warrior, somebody that has the moral high ground, that cares about people, that doesn't want wars, doesn't want racism, sexism, and bigotry? Nobody should. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying literally, if that's the type of person you are, which everyone should be, and white nationalists are below it, you are better than racist people. You are better than bigots. You are better than the ignorance of the right. But what you're also just, if not more ignorant, if you don't even care about these wars. If you're saying, well, that's you being selfish. You're like, well, you know, I just want him out of office because I don't know. And then I'm like, yo, but do you know that Barack Obama was literally funding terrorists and destroying entire countries? Do you care about that? Do you care that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and George Bush are some of the biggest war criminals of the 21st century, have done the most dastardly crimes? Oh, well, no, Donald Trump said something that made me mad, and I think he's racist. Well, how is he racist? What's he doing? I mean, he made fun of a reporter. Do you not see how this is a little, it's a little bit insane? You're comparing your feelings, your emotions, and what somebody says, which I agree. I would love somebody better, but I would much rather somebody very blunt, very honest, if he's going to stop the wars in the Middle East, if he's going to create jobs and stop the root causes of people not having health care, not having this, not coming, that's the root cause. It's not pretty, it's not ugly, it's certainly not racist, it's just what it is. And no one seems to care. I talked to 10 people. I hate Donald Trump. Do you care that Barack Obama was funding terrorists? Well, I don't know anything about it. Well, you're never going to know because you watch the TV, so you're not going to know. Anyway, now Syria, because that's one of Trump's biggest policy changes, is instead of funding terrorists and giving money to terrorists, are you following me? Literally, past presidents, no matter how nice you think they were, no matter how cool you think they were, no matter how much better and more safe and more smart they made you feel, they were funding terrorists. I mean, it's a basic concept, but some of the smartest people, some of the best, you know, environmentalists and social justice heroes can't seem to put that together. And to me, it's an enormous deal. And Syria, these same people that are talking about refugees. Oh, Donald Trump is mean to refugees. He hates refugees. He's so racist. Well, guess what Donald Trump literally did? He made it so there are no refugees. To me, that seems very white supremacist of, no offense, but I condemn white supremacy on the right. I think there are white supremacists on the right. I think they're disgusting. I think they're losers. I think they're pathetic. And I think they're complete cowards. So F the white supremacists on the right. Hear me out. I think there's white supremacists on the left who are covert. Similar to Malcolm X, he said the same thing. The white supremacists on the left are even more covert. They're the ones who don't care about Syria. They're the ones who don't care about Iraq. You could tell them about millions of people dying and presidents funding terrorists, but they just want a nice Harvard degree president who makes them feel good and smart. Is that not white supremacy? The fact that you don't care about all these countries, you just want someone who makes you feel good. You don't care about the wars being started. You don't care that 7 countries are being bombed. Somalia and Yemen aren't getting resources, and Iraq, and we're beefing with these people and that people. How is that not white supremacy? I think white supremacy on the right is disgusting. It's immoral and it's pathetic. It's cowardly. I'll say it 1,000,000 times. But there's white supremacy on the left too. And there's American supremacy of people of other races and religions who are so self-centered and so egotistical and so emotionally driven that they don't care about what's going on in the Middle East. They don't care that there are no refugees. It's so white supremacist or American supremacist to think that everybody wants to come to America. Guess what? A lot of people don't want to come to America. Some do. It's a beautiful, great country, but how is that not white supremacy to think, oh, we need to save the refugees. We need to bring them all here. Well, what here? I have a crazy idea. I'm just going to throw it out there. What if we weren't scumbags and we never created refugees in the first place, then we wouldn't have any refugees. We wouldn't have to talk about Donald Trump being racist to the refugees, because they don't exist. And that's what Donald Trump did. He did the least racist thing possible in Syria. He made it so there are no refugees. They're going back to their cities. They're rebuilding their cities. Those are their cities. They don't want to come to the United States. They don't want to come to Europe. They don't want to come to France. They don't want to come to the UK. They don't want to come to Sweden. They want to stay in their countries, and they're sick and tired of your Harvard-educated presidents, your feel-good George Bushes, and your feel-good Barack Obamas. They're sick and tired of them, those supremacist presidents, destroying their entire countries. And I don't understand why the modern day left doesn't get that. Like I said, I'm not picking sides. I will call a white supremacist to their face on the right and say you're a coward, say you're a loser. If you're overly nationalistic and you think Americans are the best and white people are the best, or your race is the best, you're a loser. You're a pathetic loser. I have no problem calling out the right. But the left, you're also supremacist for not caring about Syria. You're a supremacist for not caring about Iraq, not caring about any of that stuff, and just assuming, oh, I'm not racist. That's how they trick you. That's how George Soros tricks you. That's how the news manipulates you. And you ask me anomaly, this and that, why are you this, why are you that? I'm nothing. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm nothing. I'm just calling it like I see it. And there's a lot of supremacists on the left who uses the ignorance in the right. And trust me, there's a lot of ignorance to go around. They're using that as a smokescreen to make themselves look great. Meanwhile, you're a supremacist too. How are you not a supremacist if you think all refugees just, everybody's racist but me, bring all the No, just stop creating refugees. Pay attention to what's going on overseas, and we won't have refugees. Right now, Syria and Iraq, in just 6 months of President Donald Trump, are liberated from terrorism, from Al-Qaeda and ISIS. They're becoming free. They're taking back their cities. How do you not care? I know why you don't care. I'll answer the question. It's because people don't tell you to care. The news doesn't tell you to care. They tell you you're good, you're smart, you're not racist, you're not sexist, you're not xenophobic. Just join our gang and you're the best. It's all them. It's those people. Just yell at them and everybody's all right. And everybody's white supremacist. Everybody's a Republican and everyone's conservative who doesn't agree with you. No, that's not the reality. That's called social engineering. Music, entertainment, news, celebrities. Keep repeating a lie enough until you turn into a literal robot just repeating the, oh, all right, everybody's all right. It's all conservatives. It's the refugees. We need to save the refugees. No, President Donald Trump's doing 1,000 times of a better job than Barack Obama and George Bush combined. And if you can't get past your little ego of how you don't like Trump or he doesn't do what you want him to do, I don't care. I like the way Obama talked, but it's about actions. It's not, words are not as important. If I say, hey, I'm going to pick you up at 7 o'clock and I never show up, what matters? The fact that I said, hey, I'm going to pick you up at 7 o'clock, or the fact I never showed up? The fact I never showed up, that's what matters, because actions matter more than words. So I don't care what President Obama says. I don't care what Bush says. And quite frankly, I don't care what Trump says. I care what he does. If he says, I'm going to give $10 million to historically black colleges and universities, and he gives $0, it's not what he said he was going to do. It's what he did. So I don't care what he says. I don't care what he says on Twitter. I care what he does, and he's doing the right thing. So I have to ask again, why does nobody care? Stop getting social engineered. Stop getting controlled. It's so predictable. They tell you how to think. They tell you how to feel. They make you feel better than someone. I know that I'm not racist. I know I'm not sexist. I know I'm not xenophobic, but I don't use that to look down on other people. I use it to uplift people. I want to heal people who are lost. I want to help people who are hurt and confused and negative. I want to uplift them so they're not that type of person. I don't use the fact that I'm not racist and I'm not sexist and I'm not a terrible person. I don't use it to stomp all over the place and be like, I'm the best and Donald Trump's bad and these people are bad and liberals are bad and Republicans are bad. No, that's like a mental illness. They're making people literally mentally ill. They're like, oh, it's okay. You can join Antifa, you can join Black Lives Matter and do whatever and you're perfect. No, every person needs to be held accountable. If someone does something negative in Antifa, they need to be held accountable. If someone does something negative in Black Lives Matter, they need to be held accountable. If somebody does something in a Unite the Right rally, they need to be held accountable. But we have to be honest about it if we want to solve anything. If we just call everybody, paint a broad brush based on religion, race, or political preference, it's insane. It's ridiculous. And I'll repeat again, Syria is doing incredible, and nobody seems to care. No one wants to talk about it. No one cares that they're taking their city back. That is a problem. Same with the border. Every time I talk about President Donald Trump to people, they say he's racist. I don't like racism. I don't want a racist president. It would scare me if there was a president who was trying to push this white supremacist agenda. That would scare me because it's going to destroy America. It'll destroy the whole vibe we have, the whole culture. We are a melting pot of all immigrants and no president. So that would scare me. I've been asking for a year now because I actually care. I've talked to thousands of people and I don't like white supremacy. I don't like white supremacists. So I say, how is Trump racist? And no one can tell me because they don't know, because it's driven by fake news. It always boils down to this. How is he racist? Oh, well, he doesn't like refugees. No, he's stopping the refugee crisis. There's going to be no refugees in 5 years because he's not creating refugees. Bush created refugees. Obama created refugees. If you look at what the intelligence communities were doing for 30 years, they were involved in Iran. They were bringing the drugs to the United States. They were selling cocaine to the streets in Los Angeles. That's who was doing it. It's on the History Channel. It's not even a conspiracy anymore. I don't have to creep around scared to say it or say it in my music because the History Channel just did a huge documentary on how the intelligence communities brought cocaine to the streets of Los Angeles. It wasn't Donald Trump who framed everybody on the streets or in the inner cities. It was the intelligence communities. And these are the people that are pulling the strings. And Donald Trump gets in, does an amazing job in Syria, and nobody seems to care. But that's how easy it is to control and manipulate people. And I do care. And like I said, when people say, I don't like him because of the refugee crisis, I don't like racism either, but here's a wild idea. Don't create refugees. Now oh my goodness, they're going back to their cities. Who would have known they could live in their own cities? Yeah, every country can if you just stop ruining what they have. It's not art. We're not the world police. We can't just destroy a leader. We did that. So now you can't say anything about the refugee crisis. That whole refugee travel ban nonsense that everybody was screaming about, it's pretty much going to be done. And hopefully in a year, we can open things up and we can have a normal society. I'm sorry if you were affected personally. I've met people who are personally affected by the travel ban. I'm sorry. That's awful. But the root of the cause is being solved. So we don't have to worry about this in the future. And when it comes to the border, I'm part Latino. I have family that's 100% Mexican from Mexico. There's a difference between being racist, being hateful towards Latinos, and having a decent border policy. I'm not saying it's the wall. The wall never appealed to me. I wasn't like, yeah, we got to build a wall. I'm not that person. If you're that person, congratulations. But that's not me. But to say everybody who talks about border security is racist is ridiculous. Like, you need a certain policy. And I know personally because I talked to my stepfather and I talked to people. I've worked on a farm for years with people who literally didn't even speak English, and neither did I. I've worked with them. There's a lot of good people, but there's millions of people coming over undocumented. Yes, they work. Yes, they help the economy. But at what point do we do something about it? Because if you let 1 million, 10 million, 20 million undocumented people, imagine if I had no ID. I could go do anything. I could open a credit card, do this, do that, and I have no identity. I can never be held accountable for that. That's the problem. It's not racist to talk about. It's not sexist or xenophobic. And this is why Donald Trump won, because he's talking about these things. The refugee crisis, the wars, that no one wants to talk about. This is why political correctness is a disease. This is why the mainstream media is a virus, because they just push a certain narrative down people's throats, and it's never to uplift people, it's never to inspire people, it's never to bring people together, it's never to tell people the truth, it's never to tell people, hey, this is a rough patch, we're going to have to do this, make some hard decisions. Nothing's easy. When it comes to the military and it comes to refugees and it comes to border securities, it's not easy. When it comes to pro-life and pro-choice, it's not easy. There's going to be controversial subjects that people argue about till the dawn of time. I don't have a single speck of tolerance for ignorance and bigotry and negativity. That's not what I'm talking about. But to try to put a broad paintbrush on anybody that talks about border security and anybody who talks about the refugee crisis or anybody who talks about Syria and Iraq or likes President Trump because he's saving a lot of lives and he's liberating people and he's letting them live in their countries. That's a dangerous game to play. That's like if Antifa did something negative, hit somebody with a bike lock, killed somebody, and I'm blaming every liberal and every Hillary Clinton supporter and every Jill Stein supporter and every Bernie Sanders supporter. That's dangerous. If you're going to blame every person in Black Lives Matter every time one person from Black Lives Matter does something, that's why I don't even talk about Black Lives Matter ever, because originally I get the concept of it. I supported the fact that they were making a statement, making a move, but now it's just like a mainstream media virus that if one person does something bad from Black Lives Matter, then paints a broad paintbrush on all of the people. And I know there's tens of hundreds of thousands of people that affiliate themselves with that group that aren't violent and they're not negative and they have good intentions. I know better than to group all people in, so I don't talk about it because I don't really have a feeling either way. I'm not pro, against, I just don't. I know, I see the tricks. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, white nationalists, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. I see the game. I see the chessboard being played, and I'm not subscribing to any of the division, any of the negativity when it comes to race, religion, gender, or any of these groups. But I hope this talk helped. Tag a friend, maybe let somebody listen. There's 1,000,001 things going on. There's 1,000,000 things every single day. So many little games being played, and only 1 or 2 get reported every single day. I understand the Charlottesville one. It was like a movie. I mean, almost to the point where it looks scripted. I mean, they got tiki torches. It looks like out of a horror film. It's terrifying. The fact that that stuff was going on in the United States, I understand why it was a big story. I'm not saying to suppress it. I'm not saying to not talk about it. But let's be wise with how we move forward from here, because there's millions of things that happen every day, and we can't let one group of negative people on any of the fringe sides divide us and make us all lose our minds. Because yesterday I had 20 friends, and today now I have friends looking at me like, hey, how could you support that? How could you? I don't support anything. I was relaxing, trying to take a nice vacation, and I looked at my phone and there's a bunch of madness. That's not my fault. It's not the president's fault. It's not 60, 70 million people who voted for Donald Trump's fault. Just like Black Lives Matter and Antifa don't represent liberals or black people in America or Latinos or Muslims. The women's group doesn't represent the Muslim culture. It doesn't represent women. These groups are just traps. And I'm not subscribing. And when it comes to Syria, this is something I've been passionate about for years. These wars, what was going on during the election. I could care less who is in office. I don't care if it's Hillary, Donald, Bernie, a pencil. I'm paying attention to this stuff, whether the news talks about it or not. And just to add to this video before I close it out, today, multiple people have complained that YouTube, which I made a video about before the Charlottesville thing happened. I made it on Friday. I got all worked up because I spent a lot of time on it and I was tired. I made a video explaining how these corporations, how these websites are going to slowly crack down on people. And what's more perfect than a crazy negative divisive event like this to broaden the paintbrush, to get people all worked up and to start cracking down. I called this before it even happened. I saw that. I didn't know that was going to happen. Stuff like that's bound to happen. I'm not saying it was staged, but I called this whole thing. And today, multiple people reported that they had videos of Syria and terror groups and undercover footage and talking about it got removed from YouTube. So now while everybody's distracted on the shiny object over here, 3 people died and nobody cares, you know, just because one person got hit by a car. I get it. It was a crazy story. I'm not saying to not talk about it, but 3 people just got murdered and nobody cares. Syria is free and nobody cares. YouTube continues to crack down on people and nobody cares. YouTube's demonetizing the left and the right, the conservative and the progressive, and nobody cares. What is more perfect than a distraction like this? And if we keep subscribing to this stuff, we're going to keep getting it. It's too easy. But I will say, on a positive note to end it off, we're too woke now. We're too smart. We could have let this election slip. We could have let a million things happen, but it didn't happen. For the first time ever, a president was elected against the mainstream media, against all of the propaganda and all of the control. For the first time ever. And that's the optimism that I have. It wasn't my dream person. It wasn't my dream rhetoric being said, but I'm looking at the world like a chess game, and I know for all races, all religions, and all genders that this is a good solution, and we have to be very, very cautious. I'm going to warn people over and over and over, because regardless of if you believe me or not, if the mainstream media says it, it's the truth. We collectively will change the world. It's going to come from us. We have the power to manifest. If 100 million people feel a certain way and think a certain way and act a certain way, the whole world literally shifts. Each one of your conversations with somebody, whether it's at a coffee shop, whether it's a driver, this changes the world. It changes their day. It changes someone else's day. We are a connected web now via digital, via social media, via phones, via travel. We're more connected now than ever. We are like a single organism living on the planet, and we either thrive or we die together. That's just how it works. But one president is not going to change the world, but a collective thought of negative manifestation will destroy the planet. And that is what I'm concerned about. Just as much as I'm concerned with racism, just as much as I'm concerned with negativity and hatred and lack of care for the environment, what I really care about is the fact that there's hundreds of millions of people manifesting negative thoughts and negative actions into the president of the United States. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it was Barack Obama. If it was this bad during Obama, I would have said something. I supported him for 7.5 years. So it's not my fault. If it was Hillary or Bernie, I would say the same thing. Don't make it have you manifest the world in a negative way. Like the world's going to end. The world's going to end. Trump's bad. Trump's racist. Trump. That's how you increase racism. That's how you increase the chance of everything ruining. We have the control, not the politicians, not the president. It's a collective effort. If we all want something, we're going to get it. The problem is we're always divided by race, religion, gender, and stupid emotions to realize that. So to the anti-Trump crowd, to the ones that are worked up, to the Chelsea handlers and saying, we got to get him out of office now. Have you not learned anything? Did you listen to Tomi Lahren when you debated her? Because she made a bunch of good points and you said a lot of pretty much nothing. And you're still acting this ignorant. Are you paid off? Are you a pawn? Are you just this ignorant and, full of yourself? I don't know. But this is the time for America to come together and manifest greatness, to overpower the president, with love. You can't manifest hate and negativity and then be surprised when it reveals itself. You're manifesting it all. You're putting it in the president. You're putting it in here. You're putting it there. You're making people mad. You're not listening to them. You're not hearing their concerns. You're not listening about the refugees. You're not listening about the border. You're not listening about taxes. You're not listening about government control. You're not listening about jobs. You're not listening about middle America. You're not listening about the lower middle class. You're not listening about wages. You're listening to nothing. You're just spewing out BS, negativity, hatred, and you're tearing us down. It's not the president. It's a collective effort. If 100 million people manifest greatness and make greatness happen, it's going to happen. If 100 million people keep playing along with the media and acting like every day is the apocalypse is going to happen. And it's not going to happen how you expected. It's not going to be one person's fault. It's going to be a collective effort of 100 million people who, instead of in the greatest time in humanity for any human being, whether you're gay, straight, transgender, lesbian, Muslim, American, Christian, whatever, it's the greatest time to ever be alive ever. Don't ruin it. Manifest greatness. Don't drag the president down. Lift him up. Show him the light, because unlike other presidents, he's free-flowing. He'll hire, he'll fire. If you just shut up and bring something to the table, you could probably work in the White House. You could save the day. You could save the environment. You could be better on LGBT rights. You can do it. Literally, if you're going to focus all your energy on dragging the president down and dragging down 100 million people who voted for him and supported him and are sitting in the corner and sitting in the coffee shops and sitting right next to you at work, afraid to say anything because you guys are too ignorant and too close-minded to understand there's more than what you think. There's more than what you hear. There's more than what you read. There's a lot more than what's being fed to you, a lot more. I talk about it every day. Some people listen, some people don't. If you can't crack past that barrier and you keep sitting in this echo chamber of celebrities and Twitter, you're going to start madness. You're going to start conflict. You're going to start apocalypse. You're going to start it. It's going to be all of us. It's going to be the crazies on the right, and it's going to be the Chelsea Handlers, and the Kurt Eichenwalds, and the Keith Olbermanns, and the Rachel Maddows, and the Bernie Sanders, and the Jill Stein. It's your fault too, because you're making no effort to listen to people. You're making no effort to realize there's 60 to 100 million people in the United States who like President Trump. Not because of race, not because of religion, not because of gender, because they like other things about him. Jobs, the fact that he cares, the fact that he's doing stuff, the fact that he's fixing the Middle East. These are things people care about. What you can talk over people all day, you can lie about it, you can keep sitting in people who, oh, everybody's racist but me, but I don't care about refugees, I don't care about border security. You're just as racist, you're just as supremacist. You just think you have a hierarchy. You think you're better than everybody. You're not. Nobody's better than anybody else. That's supremacy. That's disgusting. That's ignorant. It's just as ignorant when Chelsea Handler does it. Like, oh, nobody matters but me. No. Get off your high horse and listen to people. Because if you keep manifesting this negativity, this hate, and this division, you're going to receive. And it's not going to be one person. It's not going to be a white supremacist group from Charlotte or Charlottesville or wherever. It's not going to be the alt-right. It's not going to be 100 people who are mad or 1 million people who are just more ignorant than they should be. It's going to be everybody. So do your job on a personal basis. If you talk about the president and then you're a piece of shit in real life, what's the point? This is what everybody needs to hear. This is what everyone needs to consider. Because you could hear and it could go in one ear and out the other. Everybody hears me. Everybody listens. But nobody considers. Just consider. I'm considering everything. But the thing is, when people tell me that hate the president and want to group everybody in, I've listened to you for 2 years and I told you, even though I didn't vote for the president, I told you that he was probably going to win and he had a chance of winning, but no one listened because they're not paying attention. I'm listening to everybody. So please, God, people, Americans, world, listen to each other. Have conversations. Don't group each other in. Check out Syria. Check out Iraq. Look what's happening. Talk to people from there. Consider the fact that maybe other presidents were very nicely spoken, but they were really racist and they were really sexist and they were doing all these oppressive things and nobody was paying attention. Look at the history of the world. Didn't start a year ago. It didn't start in January. It's been messed up for a long time. The food industry, the medicine industry. Pretty much everything is inverted from how it could absolutely be. Is it capitalism? Is it this? Is it that? I don't know, but I do know a collective effort can change everything. So God bless, much love, much peace, much prosperity. Please be the change you want to see in the world. Have a positive effect on somebody. Show people in your community. Show people in your apartment building, whatever. Show them that humanity's not lost. Show them that not everybody's terrible. Not everybody's racist. Not everybody's sexist. Some people are just humans trying to connect, make each other feel better, maybe laugh, have a conversation, make the day better because we're all struggling. We're all going through stuff. We're all lost. We've all had hardships. This is basic humanity. This is what we need. Much love. I'm going to post my links below. Like always, I was going to take a break, but it's tantalizing times. So I will never leave forever to the people who are upset and whatnot. I just need to take breaks sometimes, but apparently these 2 days weren't the day, so I'll get a break soon. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you. Have a good day.